In this video, I will show the main functionalities and ways of working with the application niliBOX. I will be using the version of niliBOX for Windows, but all the functionalities that I will show here are also applicable to all the other operating systems. The main user interface is a single window that you can move, you can also resize, and of course you can maximize, minimize, and restore. You may notice that when you resize the application, all the components inside the main interface are also resized. That means that if you make it very small, you will not see less, but you will see everything smaller. You can even operate the application at this small size, but it is not very convenient, of course. Also notice that when you close the application, I will put it here and close it, the status of the user interface is kept the next time that you open it. You will see that it appears in the same place than before. I will put now the user interface at a normal size to continue showing the functionalities. niliBOX has been designed to be used in a medium size like this. You will not benefit very much of using it maximized, except if you are managing SDR receivers. From a functional perspective, you can think of niliBOX as a modular application. There is a basic interface, this one here, where you may load and run modules. To handle the modules, you need to click on this left bar to open the left panel. From here, you will open the modules which will be run at the right side. There are three predefined modules that are accessible through these three buttons down here. These modules are information, settings, and devices. On top of that, there are also functional modules, which are the ones that provide the functionality to the application niliBOX. As I said before, when you open a module, I will open now information, the contents of the module will appear in the right panel, which is the main one. Also, when the module is open, a button for this module will appear in the left panel. This button is useful when you have several modules open. I will open now the three predefined modules so that you can switch between them, like this. If you activate the pin button, then I will make it a bit bigger here. You will be able to switch more easily between modules. To close, you can press the close button on the main interface of the module, or you can also go to the device, drag the button to the left, and use the close option, like this. Now that we have seen the general operation of the application, I will go through each one of the predefined modules showing their functionalities. I will start with information. Here we can find three sections: About, License, and Debug. In About, you can find the version number that you are using, the build number, and also a link to the main niliBOX webpage. In the license section, you will find the typical license statement for a freeware open source application like niliBOX. There are also references to the framework that I have used to develop the application, the Qt framework, some reference to the license model that I'm using, and also links to the three third-party libraries that I have used: libUSB, Oboe, and USB Serial for Android. You can also check the privacy policy from here. And finally, we have the debug section. This section is not typically needed, but here you can find the log files for the application. Here you can select what log you want to see. By default, you will see the log for the current instance, and you can also check the previous logs, up to 5 logs in the past, like this. You have also an option to copy to the clipboard the contents of the log file, and this other button to activate the verbose logging. In verbose mode, the number of lines in the log file will be much bigger, so it is not recommended to use it unless if you know what you are doing. In the video about installing niliBOX, I mentioned several optional parameters that you could use. One of those parameters is to start the application in verbose mode. I'm going to show this now. If you open the application from a command prompt, I will go to the folder niliBOX. Remember that you can start it with the option help. You will see the different options, optional parameters here, and this one was not explained then. If you start with -- verbose, then it is like if you have activated the verbose mode. Let's have a look at that. I start with verbose, the application starts normally, but if you come to the information section, debug, you will see that this button is activated only for this run of the application. When you close it, it will not be active anymore. And here you can see that the number of messages is much bigger. I will close it now and start normally using the icon. And now we continue as we were before. Now let's go through the settings section. Here we find interface, site, devices, and security. We could say that this is the most important part of the configuration of the application. In the interface section, you can select the language. There are 6 languages that are now supported, and the interface will switch immediately. You don't need to restart the application to switch languages. The same happens with the themes. There are 4 themes. The standard one, still the one that we are using now. We have also Ocean, which is a blue style theme, Dark, to use in dark mode, and Colors, which is a high contrast theme. I will switch now back to Still. In the site section is where you enter the information about your site, about your instance of niliBOX. At the top, you will find the site ID, which is a unique ID for this instance. This ID usually is the same even if you uninstall and reinstall the application again. The rest of fields that you can fill in are all optional. You don't need to enter this information. It is only for reference. The one that I really recommend is the site name, because if you are running several instances of niliBOX or accessing remotely, this will be very useful. I will type here a name for this site. Now you can use this button to save. After we have saved, you may have noticed that here at the beginning it was saying no name, and now it says the name of the site name. This list is a list of instances of niliBOX that are available in the local network. That means that you can configure other instances of niliBOX from here. I will cover this more in detail in the video about remote operation of niliBOX. As I said before, the rest of fields are not mandatory. I will type something here just to be able to show it later. And my web page. We are done. These 3 options here will be mostly covered in the video about remote control of niliBOX. The only one that I will mention is this one here. This is to set up if you want this instance of niliBOX to be controlled, to be configured from some other instance in the same local network. If you press local, then it can only be configured from this same computer. If you put it as near, which is the default, then if you have another niliBOX in the same network, you can configure this one. The other 2 options is to help to publish externally your installation of niliBOX, but as I said before, I will cover this in remote control with niliBOX. The next section is devices, and we can say that this is the most important one. It is here where you can load and configure functional modules, and to do that, just press this button to add a new device and select the driver for the module that you are interested in. You can see here a list with all the modules available, which are the ones that are providing the functionality to niliBOX. We will cover them in other videos, and now I will use this one, driver test, to show the main functionalities of how to configure and how to start one of the functional modules. I will press on driver test and press on this button to create it. Now the module is created. In this case, in the case of the driver test, there is nothing to configure. The only thing is this part here, which is common to all modules. You may provide a name for your device using this module. I will call it my test. In the description, we can put driver test, wherever. This is not really needed. And then we have the mode. Right now, I will not cover very much because this is mostly related to the remote operation of niliBOX. I will just say that if you leave it in local, then this module can only be used from this computer, nothing else. If you select near, then it can be used from this computer and any computer in the same local network, directly accessible. If you select remote, this device using this module will be accessible from a remote site, but it will not be visible publicly. If you select finally public, then it will be visible and accessible from any place. Of course, if you have set up your niliBOX instance to be accessible from outside. I will leave it now as near, which is the default. Now we save the configuration and we already have one module configured. Of course, we can create as many modules as we want. I will just create this one. I will not go very much into the configuration, but you will see that both appear here. If you want to delete one module, it's very easy. Just drag this button to the left and press the close option. I will not cover the security section here because this is only needed for remote operation. So in the video about remote control of niliBOX, we will talk about this. I will save again. And now I will close this settings module. The last predefined module is devices. And from here is where you can find the functional modules that you have configured. You will see that here we have the name of the site that we have set up and the name of the module. Here you will see a list of your modules on this computer and on any computer in the same local area network. In this part here, you can see your favorites. I will cover that a bit later in this video. And then we have this button for global devices. If you press here, you will get the list of sites and modules that have been configured as public in other niliBOX instances remotely, not in your local network. We will cover this again in the video for remote control of niliBOX. I will come back now to the local devices. If you have many modules in this list, you can press this button to filter. You can filter by a name. You can filter by family. In this case, the one that we are using is family test. If I press another family, it will simply disappear. Or you can also filter by type of driver. If I press one that is not driver test, it will disappear. You need to have many modules to really need this. And now let's open this module. Just click on it. I will make it a bit bigger so that we can see it better. I made this module for my internal test while I was developing the application, but it could be useful at some times. Essentially, it has some functionalities to test things like graphics or the communication between client and server, like this one. It also tries to connect to the niliBOX server and shows the type of connection. And there are also some options to check the audio. If you click here, you can hear a little signal generator. Okay, I will remove it. And also something that could be fancy, that maybe you want to use, it is a noise generator. Here you can create noise at any frequency. White noise, red noise. Okay, maybe it could be needed at some point. And here you have a volume control and some options to set the audio, the sampling frequency and the sampling bits. These type of controls these types of controls are present in all modules which produce audio. We will go through it a bit later. And the most interesting part of this module is the hardware list. Here you see listed all the hardware that niliBOX has been able to recognize. You have the audio input, audio output, video devices, serial devices, and USB devices. As I'm now recording a video, you can see that I have several microphones connected, also several audio outputs, several video. I have 2 webcams right now. And here is the detail of all the USB devices that are connected with their USB identificator. I will talk now a little bit more about how the hardware is handled in niliBOX. I will make this a bit bigger, a bit taller, so that we can see the full list of hardware. And now I'm going to show my computer so that you can see what happens here when I connect new hardware. So this is my computer, and I'm going to use this little thing. This is a SDR dongle. I hope you can see it. I'm going to plug it, and please pay attention to what happens in the USB list. You will see that it has simply appeared there automatically. So niliBOX can recognize hardware in plug and play. If I remove it, of course, it will disappear. And here it is again. If we add a hardware device that also adds audio input or output or video or serial port, it will appear also here. And I want to show this because I also want to explain what happens if you connect 2 devices that are of the same type. You can see here the USB ID of this dongle, but what happens if I want to use 2 of them? For that, let me make some changes here. I will connect a USB hub, of course, the other way. And now I'm going to connect this. And now I will bring another one, which is exactly the same type. And I will also connect it here. After a few seconds, you can see that both of them are here. But please notice that the USB ID has changed a little bit. To differentiate the 2 dongles that are of the same type, the application is adding a 0 and a 1. This is important because if you set up a module to use one of these dongles while there is only one, then the USB ID that you will need to use is the one without the 0 or the 1, without this consecutive number. If you then add a new one, then the USB ID of this hardware device has changed, and you will need to reconfigure the module. I will show this again in the video about operation of SDR devices. Good. So I will remove the hardware that I added. It is now off. I will close this module. And to finish, I will show you why this area here. If there is a module that you want to use very frequently, and it is either you have many here or it is a remote module, then you can drag the button to the left and press on this option, which is Add to Favorites. At this moment, it will appear in the list of favorites. I didn't mention before that there is another option also here, which is Information. This one provides some information about the site that is providing this module. You can see here the information that I typed before. This is the only reason to type that so that it appears here. The device, how I call it, my test, and it is of type driver test, and some information about the driver itself. Okay, this is just informational. So why do we have the favorites here? Okay, to have an easiest access. In this case, it doesn't make much sense because we can also use it from here. Doesn't matter very much. But there is a little thing that I want to show you. If you also show the different options, you will see a button for auto start. What means auto start? If you select it as auto start, then if you close niliBOX and open it again, this module will start automatically. Let me show it. I close, I start niliBOX again, and after a few seconds, the module test will appear. Okay? Of course, you can also remove from favorites. This button here, I will explain it in the video about remote control of niliBOX. It is essentially to add manually favorites modules. Well, and I think that we are done with the very basic operations. The intention of this video was to show you the general philosophy of the application, how it works, how the modules are created and used. And I invite you to check the other videos where I will go more in detail about certain functionalities and certain type of modules.